The first letters ever mailed back in 1661 were marked with a hand-stamped ink mark called a bishop mark, after Henry Bishop first used them at the London General Post Office. These marks recorded the month and day the letter was mailed. About 180 years later, in 1837, an English schoolmaster, Sir Rowland Hill, invented the first ever adhesive postage stamp, and on May 6, 1840, the British penny black stamp was released and featured the engraved profile of Queen Victoria's head. Hill is also credited with creating the first uniform postage rates based on weight rather than size, and combined with his stamps, made the prepayment of postage practical and possible. Scouting has a long history of being featured on postage stamps around the world, and we're going to take a look at this and the Stamp Collecting Merit Badge in this edition of Artifact of the Week. The Stamp Collecting Merit Badge was introduced in 1931 and helped to grow interest in stamp collecting as a hobby. In 1976, as a very young Boy Scout in the Far East Council, I started to work on the Stamp Collecting Merit Badge. My Merit Badge counselor was a history teacher at Taipei American School, and he offered to trade me 2 rolls of bicentennial quarters for a large box of stamps he had. I contacted my grandparents back in the States to get the quarters, and my stamp collection began in earnest. My dad was also a stamp collector, and he made contributions to my collection as well. Here in the United States, the first U.S. postage stamp to honor Scouting actually honored the founder of the Girl Scouts, Juliette Lowe, in 1948. The first U.S. postage stamp to celebrate the BSA was issued on June 30th, 1950, the opening day of the National Jamboree held at Valley Forge. The stamp features a Cub Scout, Boy Scout, and an Explorer. Now, many people think the illustration on the stamp shows a left-handed salute by the explorer. This is not the case. The explorer is not saluting, he is simply shielding his eyes with his left hand. The second stamp issued to celebrate the BSA was issued on February 8, 1960 to celebrate the BSA's 50th anniversary. Norman Rockwell designed the stamp, and in keeping with his practice, he used a real scout, Thornton Percival of Massachusetts, to model for the illustration. Also released on February 8th of 1960 was a stamp from the Panama Canal Zone, which issued stamps from 1904 through 1978. The BSA stamp was issued in conjunction with this stamp release in the US, and only 1 million of the Canal Zone stamps were issued, making it the smallest issue of a BSA stamp. In 1967, to commemorate the 60th anniversary of the World Scouting Movement and the first World Jamboree to be held in the United States, unlike previous host nations, the U.S. Post Office did not plan to issue a commemorative stamp, but later compromised and rushed out a commemorative postcard. The postcard, it turns out, was the first to honor a World Jamboree, and the postal marking was the largest in size issued by the U.S. Post Office at that time. The design shows Bora Peak in the Lost River Range and the Scouting Fleur-de-Lis emblem. The United Nations proclaimed 1985 as International Youth Year. The U.S. Postal Service chose 4 youth organizations to be represented in a block of 4 stamps to celebrate this accomplishment. Joining the BSA was the YMCA, Campfire, and Big Brothers Big Sisters. To celebrate the end of the 20th century, the U.S. Postal Service released stamps to celebrate both the Girl Scouts and the Boy Scouts as part of the first 30 stamps issued in 1998. These stamps honor the most memorable and significant people, places, events, and trends of the 20th century. The stamps were issued as part of a 15-stamp sheet recognizing the 1910 decade. In honor of the 100th anniversary of the BSA in 2010, the Postal Service issued a 44-cent first-class mail stamp on Tuesday, June 27th at Fort A.P. Hill as part of the National Jamboree held there. The stamp was designed by artist Craig Fraser of Mill Valley, California, and depicts 2 different scouts in clothing and gear associated with the outdoor scouting experience. The 2019 World Jamboree saw new stamps produced as personalized stamps. A 55-cent personalized stamp requested by the Boy Scouts of America was authorized by the United States Postal Service for use at the 24th World Scout Jamboree held at the Summit Bechtel Reserve in West Virginia. The Jamboree was hosted jointly by the Scouting Associations of Canada, the United States, and Mexico. This self-adhesive stamp was printed in sheets of 20, and a set of 8 personalized stamps were also authorized for a very limited special mailing from the World Jamboree. These stamps had a value of $1.75 each, the rate for a 7-ounce letter or flat, or a package up to 2 pounds. Finally, a 55-cent personalized stamp with the design showing the North American continent, a 2019 flag located at the site of the Jamboree, and a dove was authorized and produced in limited quantities. Stamp collectors have a variety of ways to collect and display their collections. Here at the National Scouting Museum, we have a series of advancement and merit badge patches that have been paired with stamps keeping with their theme. As you can see here with the First Aid Merit Badge is paired with this 1977 stamp from Antigua, which shows a person rendering CPR to another. The Citizenship in the World Merit Badge is paired with a 1972 stamp from Saudi Arabia. The Fingerprinting Merit Badge is represented by a 1957 stamp from Cuba, and the Stamp Collecting Merit Badge is paired with a 1963 stamp issued in Togo. There's also a series of 4 stamps issued by the U.S. Post Office celebrating stamp collecting as a hobby. For each of the ranks, there's a stamp paired as well. For example, the second class rank patch is represented by a stamp from Libya, and the life rank patch is tied to a 29-cent stamp issued around Valentine's Day. Recently, we received a donation of these professionally curated collector's albums full of many stamps from around the world. The albums are licensed and approved by the BSA back in 1972. The stamps are grouped and displayed with text next to each stamp, placing it into perspective. For example, these 1974 stamps from Libya are the first Scout issue that contains no English to help in its identification. The translation of the inscriptions on the stamps is, "Commemorating the 20th anniversary of Scouting in Libya." This 1992 Bolivian stamp celebrates the 75th anniversary of Bolivian Scouting and the January Jamboree of the Andes. These stamps from the Republic of China were issued in 1978, honoring the 5th National Jamboree of the Chinese Republic Scouts, held at Chenqing Lake in Kaohsiung. I actually attended this event just before my family moved from Taiwan. These books also contain some interesting stamps like these 4 mural stamps issued by Argentina to celebrate its 100th anniversary of the World Scouting Movement, or these 2009 stamps from Finland. Collecting stamps can be a fun way to learn about history, geography, economics, nature, and so much more. For me as a kid and now as an adult, my stamp collection takes me on the adventures of my mind, and I'm very grateful for that Stamp Collecting Merit Badge and that Merit Badge counselor that got me started. Well, that's going to do it for now. Join us next time as we look at more history and artifacts in the collection of the National Scouting Museum, Philmont Scout Ranch.